Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's racing show is sponsored by Chad Rack Construction. Go hit them up for all your construction needs. So tonight on the Josh Nolan and Oliver S. Full Throttle Racing Show, #1 on YouTube, we have with us motorcycle superstar Rachel Cayabyab. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Hey, thank you for having me. And you got my last name pronounced down pat. Thank you so much.
Yes, not a problem. Rachel, so how long have you been racing?
So this will be my third year for as a novice road racer for Northeast Motorcycle Road Racing. So we are located in Loudon, New Hampshire. So our main course is the New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Okay, so what's it like racing a motorcycle road racing?
In the beginning, it was pretty nerve wracking to say the least, but it's also exciting when you are pitted up against like similar pace racers who you can really match your pace with, who can really start towing you around, and you can just you feel as if you're ready to step your game up. They're pushing you to become better.
Okay, so the sheer speed has got to be something because on two
Mhm.
wheels, on four wheels is fast enough, but
And it's
on two wheels is yeah.
It's very interesting, and also too, by far out of all the tracks that I've ridden so far throughout my racing career, Loudon is by far one of the most challenging and most technical race tracks because it's built around the NASCAR oval, and then you have some technical circuit portions, as well as you have the walls, air fences, and you got bumps back and forth here and there. You could ask any experienced Loudon racer, and they'll tell you about the nuances of that track. But it made me who I am as of now, and it's going to
Okay,
continue
so
to shape me.
what is the max speed of your motorcycle?
So my old 500R was is basically a lightweight, so it's kind of similar pace to that of Yamaha R3s and Ninja 400s. So that was the bike that I was rocking for the 2.5 years into my racetrack career. So I would probably top around maybe around 106, 108, probably no more than 110 on that little bike.
So when you first got on the motorcycle to race for the first time, what was it like for you to have that experience? Were you just nervous or
I was nervous. I mean, lo and behold, truth be told, I was very nervous. I mean, my especially my rookie year, I was just really nervous trying to like once I was on the grid and I was just ready to kind of just grid up with a lot of these other racers. I was trying to figure myself out. I was trying to figure out how I was going to pretty much set myself among a lot of these other racers that have probably more than a year or two under their belt compared to me. I mean, I'm gridded with a handful of novices, and some of them who have like track experience, more years of track experience than I do.
okay? So when did you get into motorcycle racing?
I when I got my motorcycle race license, when I got my motorcycle endorsement, my motorcycle license, I spent a lot of time in the streets, and I wanted to hone my craft from there. But I was probably as far as I know back in high school. So I always fell in love with the a lot of the British superbikes, world superbikes, the AMA races. I fell in love with those races like, and I was influenced by notable racers like Matt Mladen and Yukio Kageyama. Those were the two racers that really drew me into the Suzuki's, which was my first bike in the street. My first bike was a Suzuki GSXR 600 2002. So it's with the fat triangle headlight. So that was a teenage dream for me, but I couldn't. But with school in the way and didn't have any money, I was kind of just put it in the back burner until I was like 28.
Okay, so where did your racing number come from then?
480, it's kind of a little deep dark secret, so to speak. So it's like I would tell people, it's like if I had to tell you, I would have to kill you. But it's kind of more of the idea of like the mantra of the dark god, like the dark goddess self of me.
Oh, okay. So, okay, out of all the races you've raced, what has to be your favorite race that you've ever raced at?
One of my favorite races was the Sunday races, so the novice racer four, starter four races where I was kind of pitted up against one of my garage neighbors, so Jack Vaughn, number 215. He and I had such amazing battles throughout the last 3 rounds of the 2024 season. Pretty much just going back and forth, neck and neck, just pretty much having lead changes back and forth, especially in the final round of the Niemer 2024 season, fighting for first place. And I
Okay.
think I think one of the issues too is like I got thrown up by a little. We caught up a little bit of some of the bigger bike traffic along the way, so that kind of stunned up our pace a little bit, and I couldn't weave my way through until Jack was able to kind of just slip right by me, and I was like, screw it. I was able to secure second place, no doubt, but I was at peace with it because I knew I would be able to kind of secure my first podiums throughout my career on that final round of the race season.
Okay. So out of all the races you've raced in, okay, how many wins do you have racked up in your career?
I didn't really have a lot of. I didn't win any champ. I was pretty much like just top in the top three. So the two overall races, the novice four races that I've been a part of, I just pretty much like stuck. I was made it through silver medal overall. So I had like a top three. So one,
Okay.
I got a bronze overall for one of my races, and then I got a silver overall for my other race. It was pretty close
Okay.
to securing the first place, but if it wasn't for just doubting myself, trying to rummage through, trying to find my way past a slower rider that's holding me back, it
So
was.
let's talk about your type of racing you do because I don't know a lot about it. Can you
Mhm.
kind of teach me some things here?
Sure. I mean, motorcycle. If you ever heard of like motorcycle racetrack days or whatnot, like I mean, you're just like cars. You're in a racetrack with on a motorcycle. You're donning your full leather suit, your helmet, your gloves, your boots, and you're kind of just going around a racetrack. But you're wide open. You're pretty much like you're open to surroundings. You're not bound by metal. You just have like two this two-wheel machine just right in between your legs, and you're just on the you're just at handlebars, just opening up that throttle like that, going through just breaking through the corners, getting your trail breaking entry, throttle exit, learning how to do some intentional counter steer and tipping, just leading through the corners at high speeds, dragging, and even getting a chance to drag your knee is definitely one of the most exhilarating things as well.
So where do you want to be at in the next 10 to 15 years with your racing career?
One of my dreams, ever since I was watching the middleweight Grand Prix Dash for Cash for both the amateurs and the experts, it was one of my dreams that I really want to start making my way into just like racing a middleweight. I fell in love with this. I fell in love with the 600 cc's. I decided to downsize through 2022 after having like a 600 cc for the street. I wanted to focus on the fundamentals of the track and build my basics into track riding. You know, how to go through the corners, how to spot my turns, you know, and then just carry speed through the corners as much as possible. And then before I started kind of bumping up to more power and something that's like even peakier.
So when it
And
comes to your racing and you're getting like silvers and bronzes and stuff like that, how do you celebrate those?
I just take it all in stride. You know, I take it all in stride. As like every time I just look at the medal, I look at the medals where it's just my name on it and everything. I sometimes I just go into sheer disbelief of saying, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this. And I would just take it all in and I would just smile and have a little bit of some tears of joy, especially with those first two podiums that I had at the final round, the final 2024 round. It was just sheer blessing. Like these are my first two podiums, and I would show to some of my racer friends saying, "Hey, look, here it is, here it is." You know, I mean, this is just the beginning, but I know I'm getting somewhere.
So when it comes to your races, how many laps do you guys put in on the track?
So for Loudon being about 1.5, 1.6 miles around, I mean, we're doing about overall 8 laps. Most standard races are usually about 8 laps long, save for GT endurance races. Those are about 20. Those are 28 minutes long. So who knows how many laps you'd be getting around. And then also the expert dash for cash race, which is the middleweight Grand Prix, that is 12 laps. And then
Okay,
also,
okay.
if you actually want to take it a little further, the oldest motorcycle road race in this country, the Loudon Classic, is 25 laps. And we've had world class, national class racers that come to compete throughout the past several years. We've had Moto America racers compete in the Classic the past several years. So this will be our 102nd annual Classic
Very
as of this
cool.
season.
Very cool. So, what's an awesome day at the race shop look like for you?
Uh, and it's just a lot, just pretty much geared up, hanging around, just with the bikes in the paddock, just catching up with a lot of my racer buddies, my racer girlfriends, my racer buddies, my garage mates who were and will always be just mentors from the get-go. Shout out to BJ and Bruce, these gentlemen who have always made me feel right at home in Loudon. I owe a lot to them. So we take a
So,
lot of pointers.
okay. What's an awesome day at the racetrack look like for you then?
An awesome day at the racetrack is just having smooth, clean race where I'm just going toe to toe against a racer with similar pace as me, and we're just like just kind of fighting for position for top three in our race class.
Okay. So, who's all on your racing crew then?
So it's pretty much basically just a lot of us in the North Garage section. So shout out to the 12 and 12A North crew. Shout out to BJ. Shout out to Bruce. Shout out to a lot of the other guys in North Garage as well. We've been really like a really good family environment where everyone's just here together, just helping each other out with whatever we need. It's a very family oriented paddock.
So, when it comes to your racing, now here's another question I've been wanting to ask you. When it comes to your racing, okay, do you have a crew chief on top of the box then, just to kind of, hey, time to come into the pits, da 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 da, and hey, do you have a spotter up on top of the roof to kind of make sure that you don't wipe out or anything?
Nothing formal or anything like that, but we have like a really dedicated crew of corner marshals, and there are times where I would where some of us would just take a spill around a practice during practice or some of the races, and we would have just like some of the most dedicated and most committed crew members in the pits that would help us just kind of get out of harm's way and just to make sure we're okay here and there. So they'll be able to kind of grab our bikes back into the garage, take us to the medical building to make sure we're okay and all that. And then
Okay.
and also, again, this family atmosphere that I'm so blessed to be a part of is people are there to help people out. If somebody is ever to go down, we're always trying to make sure it's like, okay, are they okay? Are they are they okay? Have they made it back to their garage or a paddock or whatnot? We want to make sure that everyone just gets away scot free and gets ready to just take in another race.
So, do you help work on your bike too, or?
Yep, I do. Like, so a lot of times I would just spend almost I'm very independent. I'm fiercely independent, but I'm very blessed with a handful of people who are able to kind of provide me some guidance with some things, no matter how big or small, when it comes to getting my bike ready.
Okay, so what's your favorite job working on your bike?
One of my favorite things is just getting just pretty much just fueling up, suiting up, and kind of just getting ready to go. Just getting ready to go. Get the warmers
So, do you
on.
Okay. So do you run special gas in your bike or is it just regular fuel?
Just pump gas. It's usually
Yeah.
pump gas. I don't have the funds to actually have a built engine just yet, and especially given my competency, just being a transit from going from novice to making my way between novice and amateur and stuff with a stock engine. There's no point in trying to run race gas until probably I start building for fast amateur expert ranks and stuff. But right now, bone stock engine and just just pump gas, plain and simple.
So who's your racing heroes that you look up to?
So, like I said before, John Reynolds and Yukio Kageyama were definitely some of my OG racers that I've looked up to throughout the course. So those are pretty much in the world class stage. So I've looked up to them. Matt Milan was definitely one of my OG favorites in the 2000s. And as far as like the current racers go for Moto America, of course we couldn't forget about good old Valentino Rossi. Couldn't forget about him, but also some of the Moto America guys. We have a lot of local people out there. So you have the likes of Eli Block. He's a really talented racer that came from our neck of the woods and stuff. So he's made his way through Moto America along with the likes of Jacob Crossman. Like a lot of talented kids have been part of our race organization and made strides all the way up to the national stage.
So who do you have for sponsors on your race team?
So for sponsors, I'm sponsored by Engine Ice. I am also endorsed by V&M Sport. V&M Sport is the base layers that I wear underneath my suit. Is actually run by a female veteran named Eliki Karian. Sorry if I did butchered her last name, but she's such an amazing person. She's hailing from the West Coast, and one of my goals was to really continue rocking with V&M Sport and really representing that brand for the Northeast.
Okay. So, okay. What do you like to do for fun away from the racetrack?
So I go by the nickname of the high octane ballerina. So whenever I'm not on the track, you can catch me in the ballet studio, just doing plies and just kind of just moving across the floor. And a lot of people fail to realize that ballet and motorcycle track riding and racing parallel each other immensely. There's a lot of focus on, body position, body alignment, placement, even like spotting your turns, picking reference points in a track or a studio. It the, this they both apply. There's so many
Okay,
things.
okay,
There's so many things that I can parallel between the two.
okay. So, do you have any advice for the people coming up in the racing world, the kids coming up in the racing world?
So for a lot of kids coming out of the racer world, I mean, it's a nerve wracking. It's a very nerve wracking experience at first, but feel free to always ask whatever questions you have. There's a lot of staff members. There are a lot of experienced riders who are willing to help you each and every step of the way. We all started somewhere. Even you look at some of the season racers within Loudon, like shout out to Eric Wood, shout out to Scott Greenwood, shout out to Ricky Doucette. Some of these refined racers, shout out to Brett Geyer. Like those guys are always willing to help out whenever you have any questions, especially with Eric Wood being the head honcho of the Penguin Racing School. So if you're doing track days or racer practice with the Penguin Racing School up there, the staff is always willing to help out. You can do one-on-ones, have them follow you around to see how you're riding through the track, how are you going through the turns. Does your lines need cleaning? Does your body position need to be more refined? Say like to hang off the bike a little bit more. Are you spotting your turns right? Are you hitting your apexes, and vice versa? I mean, it all starts with don't be afraid to ask questions and have some guidance. Again, they're always available to help out. All you gotta do is just reach out for them. And
Okay,
another thing too is I've learned throughout the what I've learned throughout the beginning of my racetrack career. The the biggest phrase that I hear from time after time after time is be patient. Be patient. I've had a lot of mentors tell me this from time to time. It's all about being patient. The speed will come. Just gather the fundamentals as much as you can, and then once you feel like body, mind, and soul is really up to it, then yeah, we can definitely start up in the pace a little bit.
So, okay, have you ever met any of your racing heroes at all?
So I've actually got a chance to meet with meet with some of the famous Moto America racers during the 100th and 101st Classic. So I got a chance to get an opportunity to meet up with Josh Hayes, and also I was able to get an opportunity to meet with the 101st Classic winner and Baggers winners, Hayden Gillum and Tyler O'Hara. So I'm actually blessed to actually have photos of me with them within those first 2 years of my racing career.
So, do you have any crazy racing stories you'd like to share with us about your racing career?
Oh man, where do I begin? It's um there's pretty much a lot of stories to kind of talk about in regards to my racing career and stuff. Um I'd probably say classic weekend or something like that from 2024. I felt I was really trying to find myself. I felt like my second year in, I was still kind of I felt like there was a part of me that I was able to kind of like, okay, I have at least have a good year of experience to like pick up and learn from my rookie year. And now it's like, okay, now I'm just figuring out the pace, trying to get the fundamentals down. But I still kind of felt like I still felt like I was riding scared. And one of my racer friends, shout out to Samir, something he told me, just like getting stuck in my head, is like, you got to stop riding scared. You got to stop riding scared. So it was after classic weekend where I was just taking a lot of time to kind of just find myself, take some time to reflect, just break away from the studio, break away from the racetrack. I would just kind of find myself in the park, just kind of thinking things over and just trying to figure out where do I need to go. So lo and behold, the end of June, going onto July, there were a couple of race track day weekends that I wanted to be like, all right, let me just sign up for those weekends because I wanted to get some time on the saddle. I wanted to get some more laps. I wanted to kind of find something, like find a way to get something going and all together. And then it wasn't until the fourth round, right after Classic weekend at the end of July, where my garage mate was just telling me, "Is like, turn with intention, turn with intention. You know you're dealing with a technical track with just sharp turns and all that. You turn with intention, you pivot hard, you tip in later, get a longer corner exit drive and stuff. Your lap times are gonna drop, and lo and behold, it's funny to say it, no longer was I stuck doing like a minute and 40 seconds as like just this naive novice. I was kind of just making my way down to just mid 30s and low 30s, where it's like, whoa, did I just really just do that? And I was just like, all right, I'm getting somewhere, I'm getting somewhere. And then come August, things were starting to just click. Things were starting to click a little bit. I was trying to figure things out, although I still had some bumps in the road for me, literally and figuratively speaking. But it was mentally in my mind, I didn't want to give up. I wanted to, like, one of my goals was to finish my second year on the little 500, so that way I can kind of move up to the next bike that I had planned for this season, and really just try to finish up at a high note, you know. I've even going through September in the final round, I've had some mishaps. I've had some bumps where my mindset wasn't right. So I was like, I was still kind of clouded with a little judgment, saying like, do I want to like focus on my confidence, or I don't want to get too drawn up in my ego. I was felt like I was just dealing with a double-edged sword. So I needed to take, and I again had to take some time off to kind of clear my head. And then it's like, all right, final rounds here. Let's get everything buttoned up. We're ready to go. Let's try to finish up an high note. And sure, I had a couple of mishaps and stuff. I had a spill during Saturday practice in the final round, but I was so grateful and blessed for my garage mates and a lot of my garage neighbors to help get myself back together again for the end of Saturday and the Sunday races for that final round. And then lo and behold, there goes my first two podium. There came my first two podiums, those two silver medals. And then with double points, I was able to make top 3 overall in my 2 race classes.
Very cool. So do you have anybody you would like to thank for helping you get this far with your racing career?
So I'll definitely reiterate and say it again and stuff. So shout out. So the first one would definitely be shout out to Carrie Smith from Cycle Smith Track Days. She really was like a big sister figure to me. She made me feel right at home and understanding like the racetrack, understanding like just the fundamentals and all that. Go just how to build my more confidence and help me understand the fundamentals, as well as shout out to Ken Condon. He's definitely one of the longtime mentors there at Cycle Smith Track Days. Without them, I don't know where I would be in regards to making my way through my racing career. And then the first time coming into Loudon, I have to give a shout out to my garage mates. Shout out to BJ Worsham and Bruce Marshall. I love you too. You guys are just amazing. All the experience that you have from racing since I was born, I owe a lot to you guys. You guys have been such amazing people who made me feel right at home. And also to John Donald, who has also been a fantastic teacher and mentor along with BJ and Bruce. Those were the 3 who absolutely made me feel right at home. I owe a
Okay,
lot to those guys.
so what I like to do with my guests is I like to turn the mic over to them, and
Yeah.
if they have any questions for me, they're more than welcome to ask me some questions.
Yeah. So, and when did you start getting into doing podcasting and interviewing racers?
I've been a racing fan for 40 years, I should say.
Mm,
And just the idea that, I would love to work in the racing industry somehow, some way.
hmm
And just lo and behold, it just come about and wham bam. We started out with the Facebook Live idea, got really
Nice.
famous with that, and then we moved over to YouTube from there. So
And have you had any experience meeting motorcycle racers or getting
I have
experience?
not. You're the first one. You are the
Okay.
first one.
Nice. Nice.
Yes.
That's incredible. So that's kind of a milestone for the both of us here.
Oh, yes. Do you have any other questions for me?
So you ever had a chance to go watch some motorcycle races in Loudon, New Hampshire?
I have not. The closest thing I've been to is okay. Every winter we have out here where I'm at in the Midwest, we have what's called the Spirit Lake Iowa has. It's called the Winter Games, and these guys are crazy. These guys are taking motorcycles out and racing them on a frozen lake. So
Oh
I've,
yeah.
I've watched
Oh
that. Oh yeah,
yeah.
I've watched that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they come up with their own like metal spike knobbies and stuff. I've had somebody put spike knobbies on a 600, so on a Yamaha YZF R6, and just rip past 8,000 RPMs through the ice, just doing power wheelies here and there. It was hilarious.
So do you have a racing page the racing fans can follow you on?
So I am so you can follow me on Facebook at Rachel Cayabyab. So it's Rachel and then Cayabyab, Cayabyab. And then you can also follow me on Instagram. I will be working on building that with some of my photos come this season, this race season. So it's like April's coming right along the corner, both figuratively, literally speaking. So Instagram feed will be official Rachel Cayabyab.
So go hit both of those pages up, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll get to know our guests a lot better. So do you have any compliments for the racing show at all?
No, thank you so much for having me. If anything, I mean, this was definitely one of the first podcasts that I really got a chance to kind of interview myself, being interviewed throughout my racing career. And I definitely, one of my goals was to really get some interviews with some of the local race channels that have been part of our community for several years. So we definitely want to kind of get that going. And I know the
And
season's coming about, so we definitely want to do
so when
that.
you go to your other podcast, don't be afraid to mention the racing show here that interviewed you
Yeah.
first. So yeah,
Oh, absolutely. I always give credit where credit's due. So that's why
yes.
you always hear. That's why people will always hear me just do countless shout outs to a lot of a lot of my mentors, racer buddies, and all that. So again,
So
I
would like to thank you for being on our racing show, Miss Rachel.
thank you.
Definitely, I will call you in a little bit to thank you on the phone, but I'll have you step out and I'll close
Mhm.
out the racing show and call you here shortly.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Have a great
Thank
night.
you. You too. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Rachel Cayabyab, motorcycle racer out in Loudon, New Hampshire. A little something new tonight. But racing news wise, just that last weekend in the NASCAR race, Corey Bell picked up the win at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So congratulations to Corey Bell. And we'll see where NASCAR heads next and see who gets that win there. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, that's about all I've got for you. Oh, IndyCar season opens up this weekend also. So go watch that. And or if you're going to be in St. Petersburg, Florida, you can go down and watch that live. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank everybody for being a part of the racing show or being on the racing show with me. And if you would like to sponsor a racing show or be on our racing show, feel free to call us or text us at 712-209-7138, or you can email us at jjnolan151@gmail.com. Have a good night.